share. Like, share. Five, four, three, two, one, and go. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Rat Raven. This is the Black Bear Broadcast. I'll be a fantastic time. All right, let's start the show as we always start the show. Let's get the PDF up. Don't forget to tell a friend we're live. And if you do miss us live, you can always catch the reruns or the upload streams or whatever it's called. Share screen. I think it's this one here. Let's find that. Right. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Bum, bum, bam. Right. So there we go. This is the Black Bear Broadcast. I'm your host, Brother Raven, and this is the 275th episode. That's right. That's 275 attempts at working with the community to find solutions. I hope you hope you can find some important jewels here today and you can contribute in a good way. All right. So we're going to start the show. So we'll go through our PDF. Do not forget to tell a friend we're live. We have invited a few guests today. Now I'm hoping one turns up. I mean, it's always quite hectic to get people in, especially if they've never been before, but we'll see what happens. Either way, the link is still open. I should actually also post it in the group as well. I think I've done that. I don't even know if I've done that. Let me check. But yeah, while we do that, let me open that there. 4 seconds, and we're going to go open that there, and let's find the intro. That's fine. I don't actually have my file, but I hope you guys have had a fantastic week. We have a very constructive show built for you today. Let me see if I can find that there. Dum, 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 dum. All right, I'm just going to put this link. This is the link to if any sisters want to jump in today, you can. I'm just seeing if is this the right one? Yeah, and then it's like Betterment or the family. Dun, 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 dun. Just putting the link in for if any sisters wants to jump in. I don't know if I posted this week's one. I don't know if I actually posted the link, which would be very bad. There we go. It is live, so that's good. So we know we're live. Don't forget to like and subscribe, family. I'm gonna do that now. There you go. Let me just testing this working. It is working. I'm gonna post this link here. And then we go like that, and then we go like that, and then it should be cool. And then pin this message. Excellent. Cool. Hopefully this is going smoothly. My internet is a bit beat up, to be fair, but whatever. Let me know if it's actually working as well, because that's the point. Sometimes I do have some issues. I'm hoping things ain't blocked as well. Right, let us go. We're gonna go through as we always go. Give me 4 seconds. Hold on. I'm just gonna test something because I'm trying to post this link and it's giving me some very crazy feedback. So I'm just wondering if everything is still working smooth. 1, 2. It says it's recording. Yep, live stream. Give me 7 seconds and I'll be with you. Just sometimes if it doesn't work, then a bit of a problem. Black Betterment. Dum. All right, because also I've sent the link out and some people might not be able to get in. It says it's live, so it should be. Excellent, works, fantastic. Sounds good. Anyway, dum. Cool. Right, we can let that one go. That one seems to be crashing a bit, but it is pitch. Yes, cool. All right, so let's go through as we always go through, and that is. Hold on. That is don't forget the Black Bear and Build on Instagram. It's there it is, and we'll talk about retroactive expectations, and that is the constructive activities that the Black community are desired to uphold to collectively recover from atrocities from the past. All right, so that's talking about remembering the ancestors, remember the atrocities inflicted upon the ancestors and the community in the past and the present, and behave in the ways that reflect this. Reconnect with Black people locally, globally, and form networks and teach each other about different cultures. Repair the Black community of historical trauma and that cause self-hate challenges and health issues, and rebuild the Black family, Black economics, and Black nations. This is just something that we say. This is like if we were in the past and terrible things happened to us, we will want our future generations to do these things. So why don't we do these things? And that's right. Remember, reconnect, repair, and rebuild. That's right. That's right. That's right. All right. Cool. We promote a lifestyle known as Black Betterment. That's what this whole podcast is about. A lifestyle of Black people helping Black people and Black issues. This is what we promote. And we're going to practice that today. We'll send out a link for the sisters to jump in. They might not. They're always welcome to. It takes some time sometimes to get the sisters on board. We had a sister last week who jumped on. I think her neck cut halfway through, but she did get some interesting stuff off. I also was invited to a forum, private one, of just brothers and sisters discussing some stuff, and I said I'll go back there some time and mention, because we had a similar conversation that we're going to have today about the dynamics between brothers and sisters, and that was very interesting. Yeah, cool. So where are we? Oh, hold on. There we go. So today's topic, okay, don't forget discipline, dedication, discernment, and dignity. We jump in, remember those 4D values, because it makes talking easier. Trust me, it does. Try to use geography terms if you can. Okay, sisters helping brothers, part 3. This is the third part of putting sisters in the spotlight chair, just to hear the feelings and experiences, and if they feel connected to the brothers at all, if there's a disconnect. We've invited many guests on, and if you're a sister and you're in your, feel free to jump in to give us your perspective. Do you feel provided and protected? I asked that question in a group I was in it for a very constructive forum. I said, I think it was, do you feel protected, provided? And I used the term included, which I randomly got that one, came in my head, and they were confused by that one. They go, what do you mean included? What does that mean? I was like, I actually don't know, to be honest, but they answered it anyway. If the sisters feel included, I think maybe they feel too included in some things. Maybe they need some assistance. I don't know, but yeah. So that was interesting. So we might tackle those same kind of topics today. Depends if the sisters jump in. I spoke to maybe 4 or 5 sisters. A lot of them are coming from somewhere else, so they'll see. They're going to try to jump in. We'll try to get them last week. One jumped in last week. But if you're a sister, you listen now, we're jumping in. We want to hear your thoughts. Do you feel connected to brothers? Is there something you like the brothers to do more? Is there issues with brothers? We also got some videos that might make that conversation easier. But so yeah, helping sisters. We open the panel for Black women to talk about Black men's role in the community, and if they feel Black men publicly understand and support them, we will use this information to help amend issues. So that's what we're doing. Part 3, of the sisters' issues. So while we wait there for sisters to jump in, let's play some fantastic. I've got a few videos, got some long ones as well, to be honest. But let me see which ones I should actually play. Just
everyone.
It's a bit loud. Let me turn that so much. It's very loud. Oh yeah. Hold on.
I've gotten.
Let's play. Let's play a constructive one first. Yeah, let's play that one. Has it opened or is it not open? Wait a minute, where is it? There. And then share. There, then share. See some videos. So I've got some sisters. We've got some sisters. We'll have sisters complaining, sisters being constructive. Well, not that complaining is not constructive, but why is this? Sorry, my folders. This file's look like a transformer, just shifting around everywhere. Why is it so? Give me 4 seconds, fam. This is annoying. Okay, make it smaller, please. There it is. All right, cool. Video. The shows. And let's go to 275. So what one was that lady who was saying? Let me arrange my name. There's a lot in there. A lot going on here. Where's that sister one? Let me see if I can find it. Nope. Yeah, this one. This is her sister talk what she's saying, then we'll jump to another opinion and stuff. Boom, boom, boom.
Black men and saying I love Black men online.
Right.
It's been such a journey. I've been doing affirmations for Black men for 3 years now, guys. I've hit my 3-year anniversary, and I've just received so much hate online from different people of different communities communicating to me why I'm being a pick-me, or why I should be affirming everybody, or whatever, or there's Black men.
You do get that. That's another thing. When you do get brothers try to promote the sisters and vice versa. You get other communities going in and saying, "Don't do that, do everybody." I have seen that. Even when you give the context of why you do things, not that you should have to, but yes.
Men that do this, or there's black men that do that, and it's so interesting because it's like,
big up Norris. He says she is the kind of sister I stand with.
I'm black.
And sisters who are going to jump in, we definitely want to positive and constructive stuff. But any kind of negative experiences or shortcomings or just fears or whatever it is, feel free. It's a safe space here. Definitely from the host standpoint, we're going to listen and we're going to try to find solutions, and your opinions matter. Yes, they do.
Black. My dad is black. My mom is black. My cousins, my male cousins are black. I live in the black community. And why is this the only community where it's like, if I have pride in myself and if I have pride in my community and in the people in my community, I'm looked down on?
So that's another thing. What happens? This is what I'm talking about Speakers Corner as well. It's the strategy of demonize. So what you do, you label people black historically, right? You form a community based upon this name, and then you demonize you ever being able to refer to that in a constructive way. So things like being proud publicly doing it, trying to recover from atrocities of the past, people. These kind of things. But what you do allow is you allow reporting of it, like, the black people are doing very bad in school with maths and crime, where it is. So that's allowed. But when it comes to actually coming together to actually focus and deal with these issues and build up, then you start getting pushback, which seems to be maybe part of the strategy of undermining black progress. Who knows?
Meanwhile, you have all of these other communities that are allowed to have this sense of pride, and it's normalized. So what is it about black pride that people are trying to suppress or that makes people uncomfortable? Because when you have pride for yourself, when you have pride for the members of your community, you stop normalizing certain things. You stop normalizing derogatory terms. You stop normalizing images and videos or just conversations or the way that people engage with you. You stop normalizing what the government is doing to you and your family and your community. When you think of yourself highly, and you think of the people in your life, in your family, and in your community highly, you stop allowing yourself and your community to be bullied, right? Because you care for those people. In fact, you love those people because they are part of you, right? To my haters, right? To the people who think that I shouldn't love the black men in my community that look like me, y'all, we have a long way to go because we're going nowhere if we can't love ourselves and each other. You're talking about government things, you're talking about jail things, you're talking about police things. If you don't love the men in your house, you're cooked. Okay? You're cooked. Those are the men that are supposed to protect you, babe. Like, that's the reason why, there's not complete anarchy on black women. It's because people are a little afraid of black men, right? Right. So we need to protect them. And so this is my little stance. Protect all black men, love them, be loud about it, be proud about it, because we're here and we ain't going nowhere. Okay, bye.
So I had to respond to this content creator real quickly because I completely identify with everything that she's going through. Getting hate, getting hatred, getting disrespected, getting called all kind of pick-me's or all kind of mammies or just anything under the sun.
But it's interesting who's telling that, and if it is black women who are telling her that, that's the kind that we do want to have a conversation with those sisters to see what they're going through, why they are reacting so negatively.
And just strictly because you don't hate like your reflection or hate the men in your community. Now, I mean, to be clear, I understand my channel, like I do talk about topics that are also a lot more controversial, and I put a mirror up to things that, women do and that impact women, and a lot of ladies don't like that. So I understand we're not exactly in the same boat, but I mean, literally her entire channel has been affirming black men for like years now. And listen, I've covered her out before. She was doing the black male affirmations before this current reach back era. So I don't really have any smoke for her. Like, all I see is her trying to do positive things, trying to do videos, affirmations. I understand that there's going to be certain Black men who don't take it seriously, who are always going to be skeptical, who are just going to look at all that as just pandering. I understand that, but I also know that there are many Black men who they appreciate at least the effort. Like, even if they don't take it completely seriously, even if they don't, completely buy it, they at least appreciate that somebody has made the effort to do good, or is making efforts to do good, to be in the right direction. So yeah, like I said, I mean, I think over what she's trying to do as far as speaking well and speaking highly, like, I would much rather that than this crazy anti-Black male misandry that we got going on right now. But here's another thing that we have to just...
Today's show is Sisters Helping Brothers. If there are any sisters out there who wants to jump in and give your speech on, bro, and this is, despite experiences, we had a sister who wanted to jump on before, who want to talk about, some of the challenges of her finding a brother, or maybe even just being consistently around brothers or this kind of stuff. Let us know. We're just playing some videos slightly connected to it. But if any sisters want to jump in, because the idea is to find the sisters who might have challenges, or the opposite, maybe, just to see that is there a way as a community we can come up with campaigns to improve the interactions between brothers and sisters. You see, that's the idea.
Really be honest about. If we can be in acceptance that we live in a misandrous society, period, in the discussion, like, we do not live in a society that respects men, that respects masculinity, and the bottom of the barrel, or the masculinity that is treated the worst or is the most pathologized, is Black masculinity, right? Black men are seen as the whatever aspects of toxic masculinity that are ascribed to men, Black men are seen as having the most or the highest rate of that. So there isn't respect in the general society as far as how Black men have been perceived in media, the way they even talked about in news sometimes, or reported, the way that they are represented, and really even just as far as culturally, the way that our culture has been taught to respect or not respect men, the way that our culture has been taught to see even fathers as essential or really non-essential. So there's so much that goes into that, but the reason I think it's important for women to accept that we live in a society that actively doesn't like men is because when you can start to have that truth, then you can start to recognize that there might be things that you have accepted as default truths, as like default settings, as just common knowledge, that are actually coming from a hateful place. They're coming from a demented place. They're coming from a perverted place. Because if we could sit here and acknowledge that, misogyny is bad, and if you can accept that, okay, living in a misogynist society is bad, and therefore, any thoughts or any beliefs or any actions that are coming from a place of misogyny would therefore be bad or problematic and need to be changed. Like, if we can accept that, then we should also be able to accept misandry when we see it. And the thing is, there has been an attack against masculinity for quite some time. I mean, at the point now where you have different professors, you have different people even in politics, and people who, reputable, notable people who are starting to actually talk about this. Like, these used to be conversations that were kind of, in the crevices of the internet, but it's gotten too egregious to where society can't even necessarily ignore it anymore. The problem, and one of the primary dangers of a woman who is an active misandrist, is that in a very real sense, she's cutting herself off from her own family, her own community, her own natural rights. She's limiting her ability to really flourish in its fullness. And the reason is because God did not create men and women to be at odds. Like, this whole gender thing this gender war that's been going on, and women hating men and men hating women, are not trusting them. Like, God ain't in any of that. That was not his intention. He did not create us, and have men and women need to be a part of creating children just for you to be at odds. Even apart from that, even if you remove spirituality from it, if you strictly look at just the practical or the material utility of men are the one who build societies. In a threat of war, Okay, nobody's asking who a man is. People are automatically looking to the men in the room or looking to the men in this scenario to mitigate the threat of fear or violence. Nobody asks who a man is. People just know because as society, we intrinsically expect that men are meant to put their lives on the line as the first line to protect people. Right, so there's that, and then also, like I said, as far as building, in order to like build
Right,
societies
cool.
and have it functioning.
Sorry guys, I've got sidetracked. Yeah, so this is give a breakdown, but that's one video we're going to look at. So for those who are this is Sisters Helping Brothers, we're open the panel for Black women to talk about black men's role in the community, and if they feel Black men publicly understand them and saw them on a collective standpoint, not obviously individually or brothers or whatever, but generally as a whole as a community, regardless of where you're based. We will use this information to help amend issues, if any. So this is part 3. We had a good show last week, and we had a cool show the week before that, but most of it didn't get recorded because it happened after the show, funny enough, sadly. That's why if you want to speak, jump in, let us know, because that's what we should do. But yeah, so listen to that. That was quite somewhat of a positive thing, but there's some, I guess, not as positive. So let's see if I can find some of those. See if we can some issues with some things. Let's see. Let's see the other one. Let's find it. Dun, 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 dun.
Okay.
Nope.
Everyone likes to talk about.
No. Wait.
What do you?
This is from America. Looks like as well.
So many, not all, but so many Black men hate Black women and Black girls. Over the last few weeks since I did the video of me raising my Black son to marry a Black woman, and for some reason people think I'm only raising him to that's the only factor, a Black woman, and the Ebony K. Williams videos, you will see the manifestation on my channel of how much many Black men hate, despise Black women and Black girls. It is so bad that I've had many Black men to tell me that my son, who is 8 years old, will not have any good Black woman to marry when he is ready. And in order for him to keep his wealth, his generational inheritance, the transference of wealth that his father and I will transfer to him, he needs to marry another woman of another race.
As someone actually said that doesn't even technically make sense, surely. I don't know how that would make sense, unless they're saying that what the brother says, what is the point of watching this negative rage bait? We'll listen to the content, we'll listen to pros and cons here. But are you a man, or are you I can't read, that's Canna Stella? Would you like to jump in? If is that a sister's name, or Canna? Is it rage bait? If you're a man, it'd be good to know if you see it as rage bait. But from what perspective are you saying this rage bait? This woman's giving a testimony about what she's going through. But we do want to have a constructive conversation about all things. So let us know. It's always good for people to jump into it, let us hear what they're thinking and how things might trigger them. But let's carry this to the system and we'll jump on.
Why do you think Black men hate Black women so much?
Now,
why do you think?
We're obviously that Black men don't hate Black women so much. There's obviously, but we're talking about the experience he does. I guess this woman's doing that at least. Let me make some space here as well. Get rid of that. Move that. And what is that? That's a video. Get rid of it. No space. Yeah. So so there's going to be sections of society or whoever who are error prone. And unfortunately, we're saying as well that I think we were talking last week, but the sister was saying that sometimes a lot of the podcasts might be that get obviously some kind of like traction or error prone. So if you have brothers who are that way inclined, then their message will obviously trump those who don't have it. That's why you have to get like a good voice of constructive brothers. But obviously kind of still up. I feel like I'm saying that right. Is that one word? I think it's kind of stellar. Good evening, fam. Big up, brother Dominic, in the house. But yeah, so yeah, what was I saying? So yeah, that was sister's thing. There's a sister from the UK. Let's see what she has to say about something. But we want to talk to the sisters. I'm going to keep playing videos, and then I'm going to do a Francis Christmas one at some point. If no sisters jump in, but this is your time to express your feelings about do you feel that Black men publicly understand and support Black women from a collective standpoint? And if the answer is no, then we're obviously going to try to work out what needs to be done. Let me see if I can find something.
Okay, quick. Everyone likes to talk about stats.
Let's talk. This is the talk. Might be a bit loud. This one, so turn it down maybe.
Talk about stats. But do we really know what the stats are? Hey Hans, welcome to my channel. I'm Dami Zane. If you are new here, thank you for clicking on this video. If you're already subscribed, thank you for coming back. My very first video on this channel, I addressed some comments that a British-born comedian made about how black men don't like black women in the UK and how black women keep taking L's from black men in the UK. The video is here. You can find it on my channel and I'll probably link it below if you want to see what I said before. But this is technically a part 2 because the comments the comments under this video were very interesting. I had a mixed bag. I had black men saying they only really date black women. I had black women saying they only really date white men. I had Caribbeans saying that there's a difference between the black Caribbean experience and the black African experience. And I had some people who were mad at me because, you know, they felt that we were trying to gaslight them, even though my video was very clear about the fact that London's experience is valid. People have London's experience, but social media likes to make it seem like nobody has mine, and that's why I made my video. But anyway, the reason why I'm talking about this again is because I feel like we need to do a deeper dive into the topic and really discuss some of the challenges that we're having in the UK when it comes to dating whilst being black. Before I get into it, I just want to caveat this video by saying to you that this is my opinion, Dami Zane's opinion.
Look up his sister's page. I've never come across before, but download it.
And of course,
follow her if you know her.
I'm opening up the comment section so you can share yours as well, but keep it respectful. If you make it to the end of this video and you haven't subscribed, click the button, you know what to do. If you enjoyed the video as well, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps push my channel. A comment I saw coming up a lot on my previous video was statistics. The stats say this, the stats say that. So I'm gonna start with the stats. And this is the data from the Office for National Statistics. Now, according to the 2011 census, 48 to 60% of black Caribbean men were in an interracial relationship, primarily with white partners, whereas 30 to 40% of black.
So it says that, was it 2000 when? It was, so 48 to 60% of Caribbean men are in a black relationship, and women it's 30 to 40.
Black Caribbean women,
I would expect it to be much lower, yeah.
Women were in interracial relationships. Approximately 20 to 25% of black African men were in interracial relationships, compared to about 23% of black African women who were also reported to be in interracial relationships. We also had another census in 2021, and that revealed that 1 in 10 people in England and Wales were in interracial relationships, with the most common pairing being white British with other ethnicities. It doesn't really give us much of a breakdown of what the stats are between each ethnic group. That hasn't been published yet. However, obviously, if the numbers were that high in 2011, we can argue that the numbers would be even more than that now. I have left the sources in the description, so if you want to know where I got these stats from, you can find it in there. Now, looking at these stats, it's clear that black Caribbean men tend to date interracially a lot more than black African men. It's also clear that both black Caribbean men and black African men are more likely to date interracially than black women, period. But with that being said, a significant portion of the black population are still dating within the black community, because look.
So yeah, you're always gonna find that in all communities, for the most part, you're gonna find the majority will date women. I think one of the case studies we do is which group is more likely to date out, especially if they become rich and wealthy, and that seems to be black men.
48 to 60% of black Caribbean men were in interracial relationships at the time of this census, right? That's telling me that about 50 to 40% of them were still dating within our ethnic group. Likewise, for black African men, approximately 20 to 25% of black African men were in interracial relationships at the time of this census. That tells me that at least 80 to 75% of them were still dating within our ethnic group. That is a significant portion of them still dating within the Black community. And therein lies my point. This whole thing about, oh, Black British men don't like Black British women, they don't date us, they only date white. It's not true. Even the stats show that. If it was like 80% for both Black Caribbean and Black African men, then I would be like, you know what, cool, because they're only checking for us 20% of the time. And I feel like as a community, we should be looking at things holistically instead of focusing on the negative so much. I go where the love is. If you don't like me, that's fine. It's likely that I don't like you either. I actually think there's a number of reasons why dating whilst being back in the UK is very, very difficult. And I'm going to briefly touch on a few of these. But of course, again, I'm opening the comments up to more discussion about this. There is a lot of negative stereotypes out there about Black men and Black women. And I think that perpetuates negative perceptions of our community and therefore lead to less opportunities for genuine connection between people.
We're doing Sisters Helping Brother show. So we open the panel, Black women, to talk about Black men's role in the community. If they feel Black men publicly understand and support them. We have invited some guests, but I've got some messages saying back that they're not in London and they're getting back from somewhere. So who knows if they're going to jump in time, if they come at all, that is. But anyone listening today, you can jump in if you're a woman. You want to have to talk about your feelings on this. Anyone's welcome. But if not, we're going to carry these fantastic videos and give our Black man perspective. But remember, we are setting time aside for the sisters, so we don't know any issues sisters ever have. We have time for it because we want to find solutions for it. That's right. And this is our time to show us for the community. So we try to give a safe space for sisters to express themselves. Here we go.
Look at what they say online about Black women. It's always we're loud, we're aggressive, we've overly sexualized ourselves, we've got too much attitude. Because they buy into the stereotypes of Black women so much, they've decided to prefer to go somewhere else. I actually think most of the time it's a conscious choice. And that's coming from a Black woman that generally says that she only finds Black men attractive. However, I can identify a good-looking Asian guy. I can identify a very good-looking white guy. And I've been attracted to them before. But I made the choice to prefer Black men. There's a difference between attraction and preference. And I think people get that.
That was an interesting way to put it. I've never put it that way. Where so the way Black men describe preference from my see is like, it almost comes across as like they can't help it. They prefer what they see, or they prefer what they're around. What the sister's saying is she can see things that are very alluring, I guess, but she would prefer to be with a Black person, which is a very interesting way to. Maybe I'm looking too deep, but that's interesting because while some people are saying preference comes from something you can't help but like because of what your psychology or your belief psychology. The sister's talking about it's what I prefer to be with. It's more of like a choice, as in like I prefer, regardless of how rich someone is, how attractive or how nice, I prefer to be with this. That's how. Maybe I'm just reading too much, but that sounds interesting. Let's go. Black women are the least selected on the dating apps. It's nothing to do with loyalty. If races of other men wanted Black women, they would be gone. Well, don't get me wrong. There is that, as in, once again, let's unpack that, what that really means. Women tend to search for men via provisions and protection, while men tends to search for women by presentation. So because historically the Black presentation has been demonized, then that means within the Black collective, if men are looking towards women for presentation, if you demonize that presentation, then you're going to have less people trying to get with that kind of presentation, right? Well, that's one thing. But at the same token, through my work of talking and speaking, I do get a more sense of community loyalty and education from Black women generally about understanding about generational wealth, understanding about how families are formed, remembering the past, and how racism might impact certain things. I get a more across the board understanding of those values than I get with certain brothers. That's from my research, isn't it? I think education does play a big part in it. You'll be surprised how many Black men really want to date their own race, which is natural in all races, but with other race, predominantly white women. Sorry, you'll be surprised how many Black men really want to date their own race, which is naturally in all races, but with other race, predominantly women. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I've got a cough. You know,
mixed up. I'm just saying. Social media is one big algorithm, and the more you entertain a certain narrative or a certain type of content, that is all you're going to see. And so as a result of that, especially when you're chronically online, these stereotypes become indoctrined. It starts to feed into how you perceive the world, how you perceive your reality, when really it's just trolls online talking rubbish most of the time. If I based my type on what I see on social media alone, I wouldn't date black men, because all I see on social media most of the time is misogyny. And I'm probably going to touch on this another time because I really don't want my videos to be too long. But if you look at patriarchy and how black men are treated within, it is no surprise that some of them decide that they want to be as close to whiteness as possible. It might not necessarily be that they just don't find black women attractive. It could literally be that they think that blackness is suffering because that's what we've been taught, that's what we've been conditioned to believe, and whiteness is where it's at if you want to succeed. Food for thought. Black people as a whole are often objectified. We are seen as objects. We are seen as commodities. And whether you are dating within the community or you're dating interracially, that can have some negative impact on your dating experience. For instance, in the media, including social media, we have seen time and time again white women over-sexualizing black men. You know, the fact that he's probably got a mandingo, his sexual prowess, blah, blah, blah. Just putting the over-sexualization of black men to the side, there's also this obsession with black features and wanting to be.
My message says that black men that only date white women, it's not normal or natural, it's complete self-hate. Yeah, there is that big study there that says that's what it is. That could play a big part of it. And, you know, this preference concept is easy. We have to also tackle this preference word as well and how it's used as a weapon, unfortunately, in the community.
Be as close to blackness as possible, mimicking and cultural appropriation, wanting if.
Any sisters want to jump on the panel, feel free. This is your time. Oh, sisters only are welcome to jump on the panel to give your perspective on, you know, how you feel black men, community in the role. We support. This is the part 3. We had speaking last week, and we almost had speaking the first week, but we missed the sister by a few minutes. Hopefully, we'll get speaking jumping today. If we don't, I'm not saying it's the end, but we could have gone on week to week if we get a good kind of like theme and feel going. But we need the sisters because this is your time. But I can assure you, if I set the thing for men, they won't stop jumping it. So I remember when I was first seeing the Speaker's Corner, some of the sisters contacted me and they said, you know, why don't you invite some of the sisters to speak? Like, oh, well, you know, when men get together, we just talk. We're not even thinking about it, that kind of stuff. So sometimes we have to set a time aside for sisters to offer their opinion. And this is a current topic that, you know, we definitely want to unpack, and that is, do black women feel support and understand publicly from black men from a collective standpoint? That's important. Let's carry this to the sister here. Her perspective.
Not them, but their own kids to have our features, from a lighter shade of our skin tone, our full lips, our hair, whatever it might be. That is probably one of the driving forces for why black men have been appealing to white women for a very long time. Fundamentally, fetishization plays a significant part in the problem with dating interracially and intra-racially. Something needs to be said about dating bias, because I've noticed that it's difficult to meet people in real life now. The way we socialized has completely changed. I don't know if it's to do with lockdown and the C word. I don't know if it's because people are all in their technology now and all on their phone, and the rise of AI and all of these other contributing factors. People are relying now on meeting on social media, so sliding in the DMs, and online dating in particular. There's studies that show that there is a lot of bias. I was on TikTok the other day and this girl was saying how she switched her profile to say that she was white, and then she hid it from the profile, and all of a sudden her options became wider. Like, she was getting a lot more interaction from men, including black men, compared to what she was getting when she had set her profile to show that she was actually black. So not only
Did they not see a picture in that, whatever she was doing?
Was your profile being hidden from black men?
Oh, you mean algorithms? It might affect the algorithm. Yeah.
When you actually told these apps that you were black. But once you told these apps you were white, your profile was being seen by more black men, and more black men were swiping right for you. Suspicious? I think so. So I thought, okay, let me try it out. Let me see. My profile was set to black. I was getting checked. But when I set my profile to white, and I told the profile that I'm a white woman and hid that, same pictures, and you can see I'm blackety black, I was getting double, if not 3 times the amount of attention from black men than I was when my ethnicity was
because men are selecting white in the filters. Yeah, I suspect so.
Correctly identified on the app.
There's some apps that don't let you do that, but I think many do.
What does that tell you? There is online bias when it comes to dating, and that is also creating barriers in our dating experience. Now, when these biases are compounded by societal norms, it's no surprise to me that black women are finding it difficult to date in the UK. European standards of beauty is typically put at the forefront in everything we see, everything. European beauty has been the standard, and the black people that are deemed to be closer to that standard tend to be the ones that are more desirable.
This is why you have to have a black Betterment approach to all things. Black people controlling their own media, magazines, videos, YouTubes, whatever you name it, and having a strategic way to reverse that and have to be a very Afro-centered approach to design, media, and promotion. And you know, that's why it's key. That's why you have to be very deliberate with what you're doing. And that's what Black Betterment is.
It's only in the last, I would say, 10, 15 years where we've seen black beauty coming more towards the front. We only have 1 or 2 or 3 black people in the limelight who are very big and bad about their blackness and are seen as beautiful by not just the black community, but by people outside of the black community as well. When you look at influencers, when you look at celebrities, and when you think about the fact that we've all been conditioned and we've all been socialized to see lighter skin as attractive, to see European beauty.
Imagine the black man puts the beauty standard as European. It's crazy to think men do this. Yeah, I think a lot of the brothers in that, especially in the UK around certain parts, they don't really think about community issues like that. They're psychologically integrated or just indifferent to like issues of community. So yeah, it's very many brothers have an individualistic mindset. We tackled this a few weeks back, innit? And well, at least when it comes to black betterment stuff or community stuff. So this is why, you know, it's it's a thing, man. It's definitely an important topic, and I'm going to bring this topic up when I go on debate and stuff. But it's definitely an important topic, like the mindset of the brothers, and you know how collectivism isn't really a value at all.
Standards.
This is a sister show, so if sisters want to jump in and give us their experience, let us know.
As the goal, it is no surprise that that becomes the preference. And the biases I just spoke about that we're seeing in dating compounds the feeling that we are not attractive, that we are not wanted, because we're having difficulty being picked in the first place. Now, I'm not saying we're not being picked, because some of us are, but it can contribute to why it can feel like we are undesired. I would be doing the stats an injustice if I didn't talk about the cultural differences. In the comments, it came up quite a lot. It's difference between African culture and Caribbean culture. I have blood relatives that are half Caribbean, so I'm close to the culture, but I wouldn't say I'm close enough to speak on the experience. So I'm only going to speak on African experience. And I feel like Africans are quite similar to the Asian community in terms of its values around this. This is especially from the generation above us. Like when I look at my parents, my aunties and uncles and their friends from that generation, it's very much, we don't want you to lose your culture. We don't want you to forget where you came from. We would prefer that you date within your race. However, when we do date out, it's not a matter of, oh, we're going to disown you, you're a disgrace. Like, it's not that deep, but there's definitely more pressure to stay within your culture. And actually, there are some parts of Africa that are very strict about this compared to others. I even know of African cultures that don't even want you to date other Africans. They only want you to date the same country, the same tribe, the same village, the same dialect as their own. They don't want you to date out. I can even say as a Yoruba woman, because I don't want to talk about anybody else. I don't want anyone to say I'm speaking for them. There are Nigerians that live in the UK where their parents are so Nigerian. If they were to bring a white person into the house, that white person might not be comfortable. I'm talking, they will not eat food that is not Nigerian. When it comes to wedding traditions, they're not going to budge, they're not going to shake, they're not going to move. It must be the Nigerian way. So bringing someone into that space, it would have to be someone that is ready to conform. And I think that sometimes can be the reason why we are seeing less African men dating outside. They still do it. Don't get me wrong. The stats said 20 to 25%. They still do it, but it's just not as much. I think class and economic disparities often intersect with race, and this makes it difficult for Black people to meet potential partners in a diverse socio-economic space. And when you think about the fact that systematic racism within, for example, education system, the workforce, and etc., creates tension within races, particularly for Black women, I think this has an impact on our dating experience and why it's often difficult for us to meet people and to feel like we are desired by people within and outside of our race. So what are the solutions? I don't know. I think I've only scratched the surface when it comes to this conversation. I've spoken about this at a very high level, but there's definitely a lot more factors as to why dating in the Black community is difficult. And I think we should be having a wider conversation about it as a community. I do think we're being pitted against each other, not just in the dating scene, but even when it comes to how Black people see each other from different cultures. Like there's this whole Black American versus Black British debate because of lack of education, because of lack of empathy and the ability to just say, okay, these are my experiences, these are your experiences, they can coexist. Let's learn to understand each other and have productive conversation. That is what is causing the divide. And I will talk about that in the next few.
Let's read some comments. Like the white man said, conquer the Black man and the Black woman will feel left vulnerable to defend herself. And this is next question. Because men are using apps to that and they assume it's easier to get what they want from the European woman, it's not always about Black men actually preferring European women long term. Well, I think the area that we try to observe here is Black men marrying, mortgaging, and having children outside the community, and also the psychology of that and how sustainable is that in the community group, and how does that work when it comes to generational wealth and ownership and that kind of stuff. So I know that men and women are going to have intimate and this, that kind of stuff, but more so when it comes to the actual marriages, mortgages, and motherhood, who are Black people choosing. But this is we have a guest on who is actually a man. Big up, brother Musa. This show is about women, so if any women will jump in, you can. But until you jump in, we'll try to listen to whoever wants to jump in now. So welcome to the show, brother Musa.
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Can hear you now. Good to hear you, brother.
Is the mic giving feedback or is it good?
No. So far, so good.
Okay, good. I was listening to the topic. Very interesting topic. I'll give you my theory, coinciding with what I think is a larger problem.
Mm-hmm.
My theory is Black men tend to go for what's good looking. So if I gave you a ranking on how a selective process might go, it'd probably be like your woman will be good looking first, and her race would come second, and whatever else would come third. Or she would be good looking first, her religion would come second, and whatever else would come third. But it would never be race first. Does that make sense?
Yes.
If they walked into a room or a party, they would go for the girl that's good looking. They're not gonna go they're not gonna say no, I'm only gonna prefer the Black women. They're gonna go for the girl that's good looking. So it'll be good looking. It'll be good looking first. It'll be race second, and it'll be whatever third. Or it'll be good looking first. It'll be religion second. It'll be whatever else third. They will not have a loyalty to a particular
No, I
black
agree.
race because she's black. I'm just
Yeah,
being
so-
real, but
Yeah. Let me jump in. So yeah, I agree that the average man, a black man at least, that whatever the person finds attractive, and that's just a man thing throughout the world, will have a heavy impact on who they pick, right? What one
Yeah.
area that is important is, you know,
aesthetically pleasing. I'll put it that way.
right. So no, so I hear that logic there, and I can't deny that many, if not most men, whatever they perceive as attractive is the primary of what makes them want to be with someone. What I think the area of interest here, though, is the elements of how a person is actually quantifying beauty, right? So as we know that in historical time, there might be certain people who they might have found a large woman beautiful because it represent that they came from a rich family. So that perceived knowledge of wealth and wanting to be around it for some people would then paint beauty in the mind of the beholder, that largeness is something to behold because of beautiful, right? And I think what we're saying from some extent is, if you have pushed negative connotations towards black features and positive towards European features, then that might shape your perspective of beauty. So, for example, you hear rappers and people speaking and stuff. They will make certain things synonymous with beautiful and certain things synonymous with ugly, right? So obviously a cliche one is good hair, bad hair, that kind of stuff. So if that's how people are painting pictures of beauty, where it could be very race specific, but just we haven't quantified it yet, then that means that unfortunately some of the sisters will be at a disadvantage if brothers are in their already preconditioned mind looking at what is defined to them as beautiful, because it's already being tailored and tempered by another media machine of branding and stuff. And that's but yes, just in general, yes, men look for beauty, but the interest is what is shaping the beauty standards in the mind of someone else, or the mind of the brothers.
Unless you there's many good looking black women, but it's whether if you can keep black men in and black women in black spaces of socialization, then the black man and the black women will naturally go for each other. I mean, obviously, amongst our race, we'll find what's good looking. We've all got our preferences, isn't it? But we'll have the black man will go for the good looking black girl, and the black girl will go for the good looking black man. But because of multiculturalism and being forced into spaces that are non-black by default, either by the workplace or outside of the workplace, just going to places of entertainment, festivals, wireless, nightclubs, where you're going to find other people of other races, then the temptation to step out and entertain interracial dating is going to be there. Now, the way to overcome that is to have an all-black space. In the same way you have Chinatown and you have the Jewish community, you have to have a black space that is a boundary to keep black people there, so that they only socialize with each other, they familiarize themselves with each other. Thus, they end up picking their partners within their own ethnic racial group. But if you don't have it like that, if you haven't made a concentrated effort, like for example, Chinese people, or with Chinatown, which is a diaspora group outside of China, but have established a Chinese town to cater for Chinese lifestyle and interest. If you haven't done that as a group of people, then Raven, you're fighting a losing cause. Unless you're going to move to a black nation like, I don't know, Ghana, or Gambia, or Tanzania, or Zimbabwe, or the Caribbean, where you're only going to have the choices of your own people. Thus, you're going to 99% of the time choose a black woman, and a black woman's going to choose a black man. If you go into multicultural places and you haven't done what the Jews have done and what the Chinese have done, you're fighting a losing battle. People are going to step out and marry whoever. It's only by I know that you're very like logical and methodical in your thinking, and you know that if you don't strategize your diasporan community, like the Chinese did with like Chinatown and little Japanese town and little Korean town and Jewish town, and yeah, like those people, they've thought about their community spaces, so they can keep Jewish man and Jewish woman together, or Chinese man and Chinese woman together. They thought about their community in that type of way. So when they established it, whether they're in America, whether they're in Britain, whether they're in Canada, they can navigate a foreign land by sticking amongst their own. They don't have to step out and marry a foreign woman or marry a foreign man. They can keep it within themselves. But blacks have not strategically, historically, when they've been in places beyond Africa, thought about their community in that way, where they establish boundaries, where they familiarize and socialize with each other, first and foremost. If you're coming from a broken people, you are split historically. Since they've been in America, they've been broken up. Since they've been in Britain, they've been broken. They haven't thought about their community the same way that the Chinese people think about theirs. They think strategic. Jewish people think strategic, even when they're outside of Israel. That's why they can keep things along cultural lines.
Let me add to that, Robert. Let me add to that. So I agree. I agree that if you maximize spaces where black people are frequently going, then you're going to maximize outcomes where we will date within our within our community group, and I agree with that. And that should be a goal anyway. I also think that having ideologies and consequences based upon who you date and special treatment and stuff is also important. So other communities, they have cultural collective faiths or ideas that make being together a much higher ratio, because these things assure it. I think if we would have to create cultural moments of where that is, where it's like, brothers, like for example, if we've got a database where we are frequently shopping in certain kind of establishments, you have to pick on a big database of where is the next shop to shop at. If we just say we do community runs, whatever, if a brother is married to a sister, that will give that particular establishment much more points than others. So now you're placing value in black men being black women because there's an economic incentive, as in all these concepts where we're going to try to shop strategically. Just by being with a sister, you gain extra brownie points, and it maximizes people coming to your particular establishment. And finding multiple ways of rewarding brothers and sisters for becoming constructive and getting together is the goal, right? And so whether it's like, how we do magazine covers, how we do social media posts, all those kind of things, where it's like we as a community value this. So it's like, if a famous footballer marries a famous netballer or whatever it is, putting that on our social medias, on magazines, and actually idolizing that and all the other fantastic words, whatever, as a concept, that is, right? And so tangibility among those things. So I agree 1,000% with create black spaces where black people frequently visit. That's without question, right? But also, for example, when I was in some discussion and there was some gentleman, they were saying that they're very fearful that their children are going to, if they hang around other groups, they might actually try to leave the community and marrying into Africa, and they're fearful of that, so they try to diminish their children from being around others. And they asked me, will I do the same? Should I do the same? And I said, well, what I try to do is I would always try to talk to all family members and say, listen, right, here is the goal. The goal is to become constructive, find a constructive black woman, start a family that way, and blah, 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 right? Now I've told you that. You should have the freedom to know everything you do, everything you want, because you know that this is what we are promoting. So I would hate to have to try to limit where you can and can't go. Now that you know, there's no mystery in it. Like, for these reasons is why we want you to become constructive and find and be around black people, because unfortunately we haven't recovered from the atrocity of the past. We haven't. and we're trying to establish what small group of brothers and sisters can work together. Now, you're always welcome to be a part of that, and being a family member, we want you to be it. But one reason why we might limit you going here, there, and everywhere is because of a fear that we might give you half of our resource and you give it away. So, if you don't do these certain things, then that means you limit yourself to how far you can go in the family, because you can't inherit certain things if you don't decide to complete some of the goals that that our community sets, because we're very serious about recovering from the past atrocities. So you let people know why you're doing things and see where they stand on it, and that way you don't necessarily have to. I'm not saying not to ban a block. I'm not saying. I'm just saying that if a person agrees to something, then you have a leg to stand on. When I talk to a lot of these brothers, they don't agree with anything, because there is no ideology in their mind that synchronizes them with any kind of black betterment movement. There's nothing in their mind. Like, what the ideology in their mind is what I call white welfare ideology, where it's where a white man has come to a place and said, everyone, we should do all these things because this is what's good for humanity, and then everyone does it, but it ends up being better for white people. So that's what when a black man says his preference is a white woman, and love has no color, I look at that as, that's white welfare ideology, because we understand that whenever it comes to marriage, when black men marry out, we have Michael Jackson, we have Quincy Jones, we have Tina Turner, whatever, where it seems that as rich as they get, when as soon as they marry out, all their money goes directly back to the other community. So we see correlations. So it's like, okay, well, now we understand what happens. We're now going to value black men doing that process to black women, and you're going to get community advantages by publicly doing these things, because we value it and we want to educate the next generations of how to operate in the community, because we're collectively inadequate in these terms.
Yes, that's correct. You see, to add to what you're saying, you see it. Okay, look, I think Americans are probably a bit better, but a bit only because their numbers are bigger. Like even like interracial dating. I mean, for example, Kanye in West, his parents were Black Panthers.
Mm.
He was raised to have a mentality of black empowerment. Are you with me?
Did he say that? Did he say that's how he was raised?
No, yeah, he was. His parents are Black Panthers.
The reason I say that, I'll let you finish. You know what I'm saying? Because there are some people.
Hold on. To add to what you're saying, it's because what I see with someone like a Kanye West is that he fell into, obviously, entertainment industry. He's a successful.
Brother, I think your microphone jumped. If you can hear me, brother, I think your microphone jumped. Maybe Kanye West heard you or something, but the microphone stopped. So I'll say what I'm saying before he fixes his mic, and that was sometimes your parents might be into some kind of cultural group or collective understanding, but if they don't actually directly try to cultivate you in those reasonings, then you might go the opposite way. You might just be oblivious to it to a certain extent, as in the importance of it. It might be just some of your old folks are doing. Also, some people, they do whatever their parents tell them, they do the opposite. So sometimes showing the motivations behind why we do something, and that's why sometimes I have a direct, strong tone conversation that black men haven't recovered from being conquered by white men, and that we haven't recovered from the past atrocities. So you can actually paint a true, unfortunate, bleak picture of where black people currently are, and you can equate all the challenges that we're going through and the children are going through. I go, well, this is the byproduct of not recovering from past atrocities. So we have a way of living that can maximize the solution to this, and it includes you become a constructive, start find a constructive black woman, trying to learn an economic skill set, and each one teach one, and start a business, as well as be healthy, try to stay away from drugs, alcohol, and poisonous food, whatever, just so the longer you can live doing more constructive things. So you give them a kind of template of what the goals are, rather than allow TV and media to educate your children. Give them purpose. I always say that you look at many faiths around the world, they have stories of much genocide and killings going on in their holy books about the people whose faith they'll be persecuted because of the faith they chose. There's a big unification of the faith of these ancient religions and stuff. But when you compare all these ancient scriptures and all the deaths that they're purported in them, they're really small in comparison to what black people collectively have gone through when it comes to genocide and people and just kidnapping and the Ma'afa and all the terrible words you can use. So just then you can say that, well, you know, all this terrible thing that we go through and continue to go through, this should be motivation enough to try to find a way out. And we have some basic tenets of what we want to do to get out. And that is constructive black man, constructive black woman, makes a constructive black family. And you know, that's either true or it's not true, you know. And the truth is you can marry out, but when you go to other community groups, do they support reparations and these kinds of things? Not that you're begging for reparations, but you're trying to do a case study to demonstrate that other people groups have the ability to think as an individual when it comes to saying they love you, but as a collective when it comes to finance. And unfortunately, sometimes some of these European women, they're married because of collective finance, meaning they know they have a higher chance of actually getting your attention because of maybe how you process beauty, and two, that will maximize them taking a lot of money from. That's why you see a lot of these in America and here in the football as well, the soccer, football, where you know they're very young and they're getting drafted in American sport, and at a young age as a black man, they have a white woman with them already, understanding that this man's going to be rich. I have to, you know, marry him, have children with him, and get a mortgage with him very early. So, you know, this is something we see as, you know, children understanding finance, non-black children, that is. So, yeah, that kind of stuff. So the brothers' mic is cut, but we'll go there. You can go put black cloud. Okay, I hear what he's saying, but I don't excuse black men filtering on dating apps, only white women. Yeah. All right. So this is the last thing the sister says, and then we'll go to another thing.
This is also the case when it comes to the reason why black women are choosing not to date black men anymore. Because I've also seen this narrative of
black women hate black men. There's double standards. They don't like it when we date other people, but they're there dating other people as well.
Listen, a lot of those women that are divesting, they weren't divesting from the beginning. It's a reaction. The whole divesting thing all came about because black women were upset with black men. They are disenfranchised with black men, and they decided, you know what, I'm out, I'm done. To conclude, because Lord, my mouth is dry, black men date interracially more than black women, but there's still a significant proportion of black men dating within our ethnic group. There is a lot more at play than just they don't find us attractive. I rather focus on the quality of dating these men as opposed to whether they're dating us or not, or whether they find us attractive or not. We need more representation of black relationships, and not just black relationships that are failing, but black relationships that are thriving.
That'd be good, like social medias that focus on successful like relationships.
I genuinely believe that if we saw more healthy relationships within our community, in the media, that includes social media, it would increase our feeling of desirability, both within black men and black women. Because right now, both black men and black women feel like the opposing side hates them. As ever, I'm going to open the comments out to you. I want to hear your experiences, your opinions on dating as a black person in the UK. I want to hear your challenges. I want to hear good examples of healthy relationships. Please leave a comment if you have something to share. Please keep it respectful.
Big up the sister there. Don't go follow her page. Let me get rid of that. So we're joined by a brother, but I think it's been cut. But today's topic is actually, even though the brother was here, it's actually about the sisters. So if the sisters come on, the brothers will have to leave. But that is Sisters Helping Brothers Part 3, and we're talking about, we open the panel for black women to talk about black men's roles in the community, and if they feel black men publicly understand and support them, we will use this information to help them in issues. So even if you have a challenging interaction with brothers, we always welcome here because we're trying to find solutions. But feel free to jump in. We're watching videos that's semi-connected because obviously we set aside time for the sisters. Men can jump in now, but when we jump in, we'll get rid of the men. But one of the things we do have to really take our time with the sisters, because it does take longer to get sisters to come on and talk open and public. We did actually send out a link to some offices, but Unfortunately, a lot of them are coming from some event or something, so they might not make it in time. I suspect they will not. But hopefully next week we can do a part 4, if maybe, but we'll see. But remember, sisters, if you don't use the time given to you, you will lose it, and I assure you, men will. Like men, if you give a microphone to a man and say what issues you have, you ain't gonna stop. I'm just saying for nothing. You're gonna stop. Stop. So we definitely want the sisters to come and take what is theirs, and so we can actually try to find solutions. Or just hear testimonies, so we can just really, be supportive, a support system. Let's see. I'm about to play some Francis Cress Wilson. Someone says Divide and Conquer. I don't know if it's connected, but it might be. Where's it? Part Divide and Checkmate Black King. Checkmaking the Black King. That's interesting. I thought. Hello, comes. Where's that one I had? What's this? Oh, I'm just gonna find it. No, it's not that one. Donny Hugh. I swear I didn't download that one. I had one where it said Divide and Conquer, but I probably didn't divide it. I didn't download it. Did I not download it? Checkmate, understanding chess in black and white behavior. I thought we had a weapon. Relate in a constructive manner. Oh, I'm going to listen to this one because I can't find what it is. It's probably going to do what I'm saying, but I can't find the one I tried to download. But so it's good to have Francis Cress Wilson. So let's see.
Do you really think that helping whites see the root cause of racism
is going to stop it?
It's going to stop it, right?
I don't really think so. You see, I could wish and hope that it would, but at a, perhaps a more analytical level or scientific level, if a person constructs a survival modality, do you see, then chances are they're going to play that out. I think that the answer is going to come about because black people and other non-white people begin to understand, oh, I see, it's just like, just like playing chess. You say, oh, I see they went into that opening, they're going to go into thus and so, you see, system of moves. And so from the black side, then the blacks would evolve patterns of behavior that would put that destructive behavior in check. You see, for example, black people can, by understanding white supremacy, they can consciously move into no squabbling and fighting amongst one another. You see, because if non-white people on the planet, just imagine, if non-white people on the planet Earth tomorrow morning stopped fighting each other, white supremacy would come to an end. Do you see? But that constantly pitting one group of non-whites against another. Do you see North Korea, South Korea, North Vietnam, South Vietnam, all the squabbles in Lebanon, all the different units in Africa fighting, all the people in Central America fighting each other. Now that is how, do you see, that's one major way in which white supremacy is being maintained. But see, there are a lot of very deep issues. For example, once white supremacy is established, as we have it now in this area of the world, let's just look, so that I turn on my television and let's say I could be a black child. The television is turned on and I see white, 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 white. I never see an image of myself as a black child. Do you see? Or I might see an image of myself if I'm a black male child and I'll have a hat turned on backwards and my eyes will be bucked looking up. Do you see what I'm saying? Those are images of inadequacy. And so the very television is teaching me to hate myself and to admire what it is that I see. Do you see? Where I go to school and I open the textbook and I'm in the first grade, or in kindergarten I open up the textbook, or in nursery school and I'm looking at the little bunnies. Do you see? And they're all white. Do you see? I don't see anything that is dignifying black. Do you see? If I learn the English language, or if I learn...
So the brother was saying, where he was saying that when brothers go and they look for women, they'll go, beauty first, race second, or religion second, and whatever third. and what we're trying to explain to the brother, and I know you understand it, was there's certain things that might shape what you define as beautiful, you see. And I think what Sister is saying is that, you know, if you're constantly viewed an inadequate image of yourself, then when you're painting in your mind what beauty is, you might completely miss yourself because it's already been demonized while other things have been angelized. I think that's a word. But yeah. So this is the dynamics we're dealing with. So that's why you have to have black people who practice black betterment try to reverse that and strategically, deliberately put out constructive imagery of black people consistently, and also the value of coming together and the tangibilities of what that can happen when you do it.
Any language in the white supremacy system and culture, you see, that's French, English, all of the languages that are spoken by people who classify themselves as white, do you see, use black as the major pejorative. Do you see, the stock market falls and then we call that Black Monday or Tuesday. Black people didn't have anything to do with it. Do you see, or if white people are engaging in demeaning, degrading sexual activities, they will call it kinky. Do you see, well, that's supposed to be what black people do. Black people won't even know about any such sexual practices. Do you see, so all kinds of negativity is dumped around the word black, so that when a black person learns that language, they are really learning self-hate. And as they learn self-hate, and as they look at the movies and look at the television and look at the magazines and look at the newspaper, do you see, they're learning to hate black. And so then I go to relate to you, do you see, as a black person. And so my behavior has got to be destructive until I consciously begin to understand more objectively about what is happening, do you see? And then I say, even in the presence of the white supremacy dynamic, I will to respect myself and to love myself and highly regard myself as a black person. And I will, meaning I'm going to take conscious, disciplined control over my behavior and relate to other black people in a constructive manner.
Okay, we're going to move on a little further down the road on this, but what role do poor whites play in the white supremacy structure?
Well, do you see, you have white people with higher incomes and white people with lower incomes, and they can all come together and practice white supremacy. I think I remember hearing something about George Wallace. And, you know, I'm remembering, and so it may not be.
Listen to Friends Grace Wellskin. This is a Sisters Helping Brother special where we're letting the sisters talk about how they feel about the brothers, if they feel protected and respected and included, and what's the word I used on them? We said supported and understanding publicly. And we're just looking at, this is Francis Cresswell breaking down why, you know, there might be some kind of like dysfunctional behavioral patterns in the black community, and we can equate that to this thing we're doing here. Listen to some brothers and sisters give their testimony, but generally we're asking, this is the sisters' time, so if sisters want to jump in and give their perspective, there is no wrong answer, and you will not be belittled, not here. There was a sister who jumped on 2 weeks ago when I was off air, and she was saying she was struggling because she's, you know, she really loves black men, but you know how she's viewing certain things, and it's making her want to potentially, you know, maybe start dating non-black men. So you know, so we said we should cover that, but the sister hasn't been back since. Well, she's listening. She doesn't want to jump in. Let's listen to Francis Cresswell. I found the other videos, so I might play afterwards. Now, I've gone past an hour. Normally, if we don't have guests, you could go, but because Francis Cresswell is there, we'll listen. But big up Brother Guitari as well, very important contributor. Big up Brother Dominic. And Canna Stella, I think you're always welcome to jump in if you've got some stuff as well. There you go.
Totally accurate, but I think it's accurate enough. He said that when he first went into politics in the state of Alabama, that he thought that the chance for the poor white person would be to come together with black people, just a common cause to improve education, improve health, improve housing, improve roads and whatnot. And he said he found out that the white persons were not interested necessarily. Do you see, that was not a priority interest. The priority interest was to feel that they were better than black people. Do you see, now that I understand that in terms of white genetic survival, because that was true not only for the low-income white person, it was also true for the upper-income white person. So I don't make those distinctions, you see, and say, well, okay, lower-income white people are so-called bad, and then, you know, upper-income white people are not. No, across the economic spectrum.
How did the Jewish attempted Jewish extinction in Germany help you in your analysis of white supremacy?
Well, I'll tell you, you know, this is, I think, very interesting history. I went to Antioch College in Yellow Springs, Ohio as an undergrad. And my parents, when I graduated in 1957, my parents said, what do you want for graduation? And I said, send me to Germany. That was 12 years after the end of the Second World War. I said, send me to Germany, because I wanted to live with German people and ask them, did you know what you were doing to your neighbors? You see, so my parents sent me to Germany. And I lived in Germany and would talk to German people and would ask them. And all the German people, you know, they were nice. Francis, come and live in our house. So that was a very, very important kind of information, that people could be nice on the surface, do you see, but they could destroy their neighbor. It was only later that I kept saying, well, what does this term, what does anti-Semitism mean? What, you know, what does this term Semite really mean? If you look in the dictionary, the word Semite, they say somebody who speaks a Semitic language, but, you know, every third grader knows you don't define a word with the same word. And so I thought about that word, because I consider myself a student of what happened in Germany. Read everything about what was that behavior about.
She said, you don't define a word with the same word. I think the sister goes on to say, what the Nazis hated, that they felt that the Jewish people weren't white enough. They had a mixture of non-white blood, and that's how she was defining it. Now I found that. Let me find. This might be the last video, maybe. I've also downloaded Elaine the Pain. The woman who was controversially talking about boycott Asians, but she's on the Somali Brothers show. I was gonna play a bit of it. I don't know. To see what she says. But she, you know, I should have downloaded. Let me get that as find out with it. So let me play this next one of Divide and Conquer while I see if I can download some. There was a good thing she actually did, which I want to play. So there that sister. But let's find that other one. No. Is this one? Yeah, Divide and Conquer. This. Well, let me see if I can find the other one. What is it? There you go.
I have said, when I wrote the paper, The Crest Theory of Color Confrontation, I said the challenge to white behavioral, it's a challenge, or the challenge to white behavioral scientists, to help the white population locally and globally become comfortable with its color and its minority status in the world.
How do you do that?
Well, first of all, by talking about it. Do you see? But this is a topic that you cannot talk about. I mean, you know, you should take an A and 1,000 gold stars for having, you know, airing this kind of discussion. This is a discussion that you cannot bring out. Do you see? If you are a black person trying to talk about racism, you can lose a job. Oh, she's always talking about racism. Do you see? No, we don't want to talk about racism. We certainly don't want to analyze it, because if we analyze it, then, do you see, one can get rid of white supremacy. For example, if all of the non-white people on the planet begin to understand the dynamic of white supremacy will come to a stop. Do you see, because one of the plays, tactically, strategically, on the chessboard of white supremacy is a minority survives in the presence of a majority by dividing and conquering. You see, pit this group
And was this video also part of the last one as well? I don't know. But yeah, that's the important part. Divide and conquer. That I guess that's what we're saying. That any divide within the black community, you can see that. Is this it here? You can see that that's not good, and definitely the dynamic between brothers and sisters. I've downloaded this Elaine the Pain economic thing she's done. Pick up that sister there. I reached out to her, because she's getting a lot of slack from whatever. I told her if she ever wants to speak or whatever, she can always contact us, and we can always try to give her some kind of like guidance when it comes to how you deal with backlash and all that kind of stuff, because we're very used to it here today. But yeah, so today's topic is about this space for black sisters, and if they feel connected. And I think Elaine DePayne did say that there was a lot of brothers. And when you look at her comments, you know, a lot of sisters support what she's doing. A lot of brothers are very not so much. And don't go in there. There's certain reasons why here and there, but generally the sister's trying to do something. So this is something I saw a video which, you know, bring up to her. This is Elaine DePayne's economic kind of video she put. Where is it? Arranged by date modified. I think it's this one. Let's have a listen to this. All right. Bring up the sister.
So my band comes to my father where
I hope the music
seven
is
day
right.
so hard work it easy for me.
Sorry.
Hi guys, this is Elaine here, and I have come to Black Businesses to keep you updated on where to buy our
Yeah, we covered this one, isn't it? Abby Global.
culture food. It's Christmas and I want you to support Black businesses. So come with me to Abbey Global.
It's Abby Global, but they need. I think the thing fell off. It says Abby Global. Yeah, I think the L. Maybe we can help fund get that L back.
I'm not too sure. Should I get a bougie bread or should I get a gege bread?
There we go. There's the address in Barking. They have. I should really go. I'm gonna get the guys to go down there. Good idea. It's in Barking, not too far.
You decide. So I'm in East London and we are at a Caribbean black owned business called Sunderland Food. Okay, Sunderland do their own seasoning. Look at this, all purpose seasoning. They've got chicken seasonings, they've got meat seasonings, and this is coming from our own people. Yeah, so definitely check it out. You have everything you need here, from home, from country, from yard, from culture. This is where it's at. Yam, green banana, plantain. And it looks like you can get it by the case. So you know what I'm gonna do? I am at Betterment Market and this is a black owned business.
Betterment Market, Craven Park Road, London, EW10. If you live there, go support.
I'm in a black owned business in the heart of Brixton and it's a Senegalese black owned shop.
There you go, Brixton Village Market, London. Is that MA Soda? My soda? Is that pepper there? Is that Scotch bonnet?
I'm in Enfield at Wanaka and it is a fresh farm butcher's that is black owned and it's actually South African. So let's go and see what they specialize in. They have barbecue specialists, they have white maize, they have grass-fed beef, seasonal vegetables and also groceries. Guys, listen, I've got my beef from the beef specialist, black owned, okay? Hey people, I am at Malcolm & Sons, a black owned butchers. This time, I'm actually come to see them in person. So let's go meet Kevin. Hi Kevin!
Hello, how are you?
I need you to come down to Malcolm & Sons to get your Christmas meat. They have everything. They're stocked up, they said they're ready. So what are you waiting for? Get down here and make sure that you support Malcolm & Sons. Tell Kevin bye!
Okay, lovely, I'll see you soon! There you go, bring up the sister there, promoting the black businesses, and we definitely should help out on that. Sounds good. Fantastic. All right, so we're going to probably end this soon. This is Helping Brothers Part 3. We open the panel for black women to talk about black men's role in the community. If they feel black men publicly understand and support them, we will use this information to help amend issues. So yeah, this really. So we're setting aside a time stamp to try to just have sisters have their say. We do understand sometimes it takes longer for the sisters to feel comfortable to jump up and talk about certain things. And I have invited quite a few sisters, funny enough, but all of them unfortunately have they're not back from some events they were doing. So and some are hosting at the moment too, I think they are. So yeah, but I'm not gonna end it. I'm not gonna end the part 3. Maybe we want to do a part 4. But it would be good to have the sisters' perspective, because the idea is to create a campaign around consistency and consensus and all that of how the sisters are feeling in the world and all that good stuff. And we can always play videos, but it's always good to have a back and forth. But I don't know if we're going to jump to a man version yet, because we want to do the sisters first. But definitely, I think we just played Lane the Payne's video there, and I do notice that even though there is obviously other things going on, it might be because she's a sister, we do notice that sisters seem to understand certain things about collective economics in the mass. Obviously, brothers understand, of course, whatever. But just from what I'm seeing and understand the importance of it, and I think that's a thing of getting the brothers understanding certain community values on a higher level. And and that is understanding the importance of group economics, black families, and black health in general. But just understand it, and how and I think we had a brother who jumped on before he got cut, and he was talking about we were talking about like how to get the brothers more synchronized with ways of operating that has a collective solution at the base of what you're doing, and I guess one way we can do that is by finding out where the shortcomings are around in the community, and if it overlaps with black women, and then find ways to work with black women for a better tomorrow, better solutions. But we can't do this if the sisters don't want to jump up, so we've definitely got to give the sisters space when they're ready. No, it's because her delivery, not because of she's a woman. Okay, so yeah, that's another thing. So the sister we just played, she has a very in-your-face delivery about most things, to be honest. And I'm not going to disagree with that. And don't get me wrong, I understand that the internet is a very click heavy place, and a person who screams and shouts will probably get more algorithm than the person who doesn't. I can understand that. I'm keeping quiet on that kind of stuff, but generally, I think it's better not to do that. But I'm not an internet sensation like that. But at the same token, I am seeing the sister consistently, promote what she says, and I'm seeing the brothers who are making the constant videos about her, making about her, and I said this to them in the comments as well. I said, look, unfortunately, because a lot of them they say this sister, she's not genuine, she's going to change tune any time, and she's only doing this because it looks bad if she doesn't. And all this I've come to say, I'm saying, even if that's the case, even if there's a sister who's got a kind of like platform and she's promoting constructive black stuff, even if she's only doing it because she doesn't want to come across in a certain way or whatever it might be, that action and that activity is still more valuable than a brother who doesn't do that, you see. So even a sister or a brother does promotes black economics because it's trendy and cool, or because people think they're dumb if they don't, or whatever, that is still more valuable than people who don't do that. And that's because of the condition we're at the moment. It isn't normal for black people to, at least within the mind of black people, for black people to actually promote economics and families and stuff like that. We even showed you the sister who was saying even her promoting black love and stuff, she was getting demonized for. So that's why it's important that we have that kind of consistent front. We welcome Brother Musa back, and welcome back to the podcast, brother. Kind of Stella, you can always jump in. I don't know if you want. I don't know. You can always jump in as well if you want. It might be easier, but black women also call that. Yes, they are. There are black women. Just to be clear, black women. Just to be clear, black women. Mo, we got a repeat on you there.
Say that again.
No, I was hearing myself back, but I think because your mic was looping or something. No, but before you jump in, I was going to say, I think the issue that the sister has with the campaign, she's used the term boycott Asian businesses, and that's caused some certain issues. Now, with me, it's not an issue as a word. My thing is, any word you say, you can turn to a campaign. So if there's a reason to boycott anybody, you can actually have a discussion about that and have perimeters down and solution plans to execute something like that. You know, if you're, you know, I think that's the only thing I would say that people are jumping on, and I'm more happy to have a conversation about if you shouldn't boycott people. And obviously, from a strategy icon point, you don't need to name anyone else. You can just do what you're doing. That doesn't mean that there wouldn't be justification for boycotting any groups, because if you look at most groups, there's always had some kind of history mistreating black people. But I can understand why some people were not best pleased with the delivery, especially black men and black people in general. But black men have been trained to be very defensive of other communities. Of what I've noticed when it comes to like racism or bigotry or mistreatment, as they perceive it. Not so much on like black economics, but more so on like that, because that seems to be the campaign. Like, oh, you know, this is bigotry and don't do that or whatever. Interesting. But anyway, brother, you want to say anything, brother Musa?
I was gonna say you made an excellent point. You said black men have been trained black men have been trained to defend other groups of people, other racial groups of people. Could you explain a little bit more? But it's an excellent point that you made. Why do you think that is?
Well, what it is what you have to understand is, if you look at these primary threes, right? You have colonization, you have enslavement, and then you have economic underdevelopment, right? And that means that someone has to go to another nation for their subsidies and how they can progress and stuff. So these three things are putting you at the mercy of other groups. So black people have lived in these realities for a very, very long time, a very, very long time. So you can then culturalize the experiences that you're witnessing, and you can also create dynamics in your head of hierarchy. So unfortunately, I mean, we watched a video of a South African woman. Well, it's a community, but they all say the same thing, and that was they showed white South Africans who were poor, and they asked the black community in South Africa how they felt about it, and they said it broke them heart because they can understand black people being poor because they're black, but they see white people poor, it just made them feel sad. And this was, you know, this is that I would expect that to be the case, like where you actually normalize struggle and pain and hustling, you know, the glorification of not achieving whatever. And but when you look at other groups that you feel might have a hierarchy or deserve a hierarchy, it saddens, and that happens a lot. And that this correlates to what we were saying with when a person is painting a picture of beauty in their mind. If they've already been tarnished as black being ugly, then when they're picking what they think is a beautiful person, there's a high chance that it might not include the phenotypes that come best with black being black.
My response to that, can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay. Because of the drastic position that we're in historically,
right,
you would have to either create a black space, intentionally create a black space for black to socialize, culturalize, or you'd have to do what the Jews did, I've said this to you before, I've given you this narrative or this example before. You'd have to go to a place and create a whole, like, a black nation. You'd have to do the whole black nation thing. Since the Jews couldn't be a diaspora, they had to go and do, you know, they had to create the nation of Israel. Or, you know, if Indian people were under the same pressure as black people, Indian people would pack their stuff and they would all go back to India if they was under that level of pressure that black people are under. Does that make sense?
Say it again, say it one more time. One more time. It sounds good.
I said if let's say if Indian people was under the same pressure as black people was, then right, Indian people would have the incentive to go back to India. You see what I'm trying to say to you? They'll be forced to, just because the racism and the discrimination wouldn't allow them to live anywhere else. But I don't see blacks having the same incentive of either repatriation or self-repatriation, to the extent that the Indian man would do it or the Jewish man has done it. Does that make sense?
I think where the difference might lie between the Chinese man, the Jewish man, and the Indian man is a better connective process. So, as in, like, they're more connected to economics in their land group, so they can actually go back easier, but they can also network between the two. And I think there is a value in black people going back to the Caribbean and going back to Africa. There is a value, but there's also a value of actually analyzing what other groups like Jewish people, Chinese people, and other people do in the lands they are, where they create economic base there, and that economic base tailors to the needs of the people there, but also has a connection with Africa or Caribbean or wherever it might be, to actually have a back and forth and trade, and just when you need resources, you can just parlay it from here one place to another. And I think two things can be right at one time. Are Pakistanis and Muslims not under pressure in this country? Yeah, so just what they're saying in the comments. There are, I would say, many people can be under pressure in this country. I think there is a history and a culture, a connectivity that allows them to work better together than what you might see in the black
community. Well said.
And the irony is, this particular podcast is promoting that solution of a lifestyle. So you might have certain Asians, Jewish, or Chinese that have a cultural frame, a religious frame, where within that framework, it keeps them constantly looking inwards for solutions and inwards for repair. Well, black people, like we just said earlier, are probably the leaders of subservient behavior, and that means we're always looking to give out, to create and give away. All right, I think the name, the pain, the sister, even though, and this is very important. We're saying now a strategy. I always say, don't swear publicly when you're doing anything, because someone will use that swear word or that negativity to paint the positive you're doing. So, and the demonstration of that is the sister is actively trying to promote black economics and go to the places, but what people are talking about is their feelings of words she said. You see? And that's what I'm saying. Don't get me wrong. When people want to sabotage you, they'll do what they want, but you want to minimize the weapons they're going to use. And that way you can highlight their inconsistencies and error proneness, because it will almost sound completely ridiculous. But it doesn't sound ridiculous if people say, oh, well, you said hurtful words about the Asian man, or you're very strong towards this man's auntie, and this kind of stuff like that, right? So that's why I'm saying strategies. Whenever you're doing black Betterment work, if you can, try not to be vulgar or have open arguments and profanity everywhere, because people will paint what you're doing with that brush because it's the easy option.
You see, if you haven't had any, if you haven't had training, you might not. Obviously, you're gonna make those mistakes, isn't it? So it's you know, if you can get in contact with any of those of the black women that you spoke to earlier, it'll be good.
Say that last bit again, because your microphone is jumping. But when you see the black women, you're talking about laying the pain, you're talking about sisters who were invited to talk on the show.
For you to either, so if
go ahead, brother.
Yes. I said yes. You can get someone like Elaine, invite them to talk on your show, or speak to them via the social media. Well, Elaine the Pain or any of those other black women that you came.
Just update. I've invited some. I was on a show a few weeks back with some sisters who were telling me some of their experiences with brothers and support systems and stuff. And I invited them, but once again, they're quite used late nights to do talk shows. So they we're trying to find a date, but they were invited. But none of them have come. One came last week, and one sister was a bit late last week before that. But as for Elaine the Pain, I've messaged that sister privately, and I've told her if she ever needs to have a conversation. She's got back to me, and some people have put us together behind the scenes, and I'm aware she's getting some kind of support from some brothers. I said if you ever need any more support from a more black Betterment standpoint, then the setup and we can make it happen. And she's always welcome to the show if she wishes. She's got quite a big following, so you tend to find that she's gonna probably more want to do more of the big kind of shows. But the help we're gonna offer the sisters more so dealing with constructive hate. Not constructive hate, consistent hate, sorry, as well as how I would potentially word things to minimize hate. But once again, she's her own person; she can do what she wants.
Yeah.
Any questions in the in the forum, family? This topic is sisters helping brothers. We did extend the olive branch for the sisters to come in and talk, but yet we have only had one sister last week to do that. But hopefully this will not be the last week. Hopefully we can have one more week. But we definitely are setting time aside for sisters to give us their perspective. Everyone's welcome. But until we do, anyone's allowed on the panel. But when sisters come, it'll just be their time. But also at some point we're going to maybe have a brother conversation, and I suspect the brothers will jump on en masse. That tends to happen, so we definitely want to allow the sisters to have their say first and all that good stuff like that. If that makes sense, you can't be wrong in there because we're trying to. It's all case study to find better unity. We're joined by brother Musa is coming on. We want to big up Canastella, Katari, and Dominique, and all the other. Norris, and all the other brothers and sisters in the back. Remember, this show is for the community. We set the show up literally just for to promote Black Betterment, but for to have Black people speak on there so we can find solutions and be a support unit. That's what we're doing, and that's what it's for. And at some point in the future, the format might change, but that's what it is at the moment. So please feel free to use it. This is for you. This is for you. It's for the community to find solutions and work together. We normally dedicate 2 hours. We're coming close to that 2 hours now. Normally, it isn't just me waffling. Usually, we have back and forth guests, and we are joined by Brother Musa. We appreciate the time he's pushing in. But no, so we also send out invites for people, and that was welcome to jump on. And we have done that for some sisters, but there are some, at least 2 men said they might be busy on the show, and I assume the rest, how I do what they're doing. But generally, this is your time to speak. Any kind of last things you want to talk about, Brother Musa, before we move on, before I end the show?
Do you think that we don't? Do you think, Rat Raven, that we don't work enough? We don't work together enough in order to get solutions, or to get the results that we're looking for. Because it's really about. I'm thinking out loud. It's usually about how much effort you put into something, isn't it? As a group of people.
Yeah. So when you say us, you talking about as a community, or you talking about men and black women?
Black community, black men and black women.
Right. Yeah. No, I think there from a bigger visual standpoint, there's a disconnect that I'm seeing. And there's obviously tons and tons of brothers and sisters who are very connected, but they're quite in pockets, and it's about getting everyone connected. So from a connected standpoint, all the people who need to be speaking are not speaking. I need to be better. I've reached out.
Say that one more time. Say that one more time for me, Rat Raven.
Yeah.
Say that one more time.
All the people who need to be connected ain't connected, because there's a lot of good pockets of people who are doing amazing stuff. And that's why we've got all the videos we're playing. When someone is something constructive, I always write a note and message them. And I've messaged a few of the guys. I've spoken to some people. And the idea is, when the time is right, is to get all the right people in the right places to actually have that network going. It's key. Because, once you get all those people with the same mindset in the same room or the same page, it makes solutions easier. And also you get codes going of how we should operate when we're together and all that kind of stuff. So, and maybe that should be an exercise, as in, we can do it region-wise, where it's like, let's get people from the UK, from Canada, from America, from wherever, Nigeria, wherever it might be, who are constructive in a certain way and have similar kind of views, and then create at least an online network of something, whether we brand it or whatever, I don't know, right? The Black Betterment Network or something, I don't know, whatever. But it's where, so we're connected, so there's things we can do easier, and we can support better, and we can have better sit downs to squash challenges that's going on, that, whatever. So that is key. That is a very key, important thing to do.
So I thought what you're saying, Rat Raven. There also has to be an urgency.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
There's
agree.
has to be an urgency. There can't be procrastination when it comes to that.
No.
There should be an urgency and an emergency for that to take place. Just because of what's going on in the world, and Britain or Western Europe is looming ever closer to war.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there has to be an urgency for certain groups to get its act together if it's going to have any kind of meaningful future. Because it's thinking like tomorrow is always going to be, and there might not be a tomorrow. Does that make sense?
Excellent.
Yeah.
So how thank you, brother. How we can really work is if there's any kind of podcasts or people around certain areas who are saying the same thing, give us their names. Say I'll put in a database. I've already got a database. Let me see if I can find my database and the people in it and stuff. Database.
I got an influential black Christian pastor who's setting up a pod. Who's going to have a podcast soon.
Nice. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll have this then. So, let me share this. So, I wrote some of these down. If you know, share, stop screen, and then share screen, and then black podcast. So I read some podcasts that what guys who when I heard them, I know this is very small, so forgive me. So I'll see if I can zoom in. Oh, it is zooming. There you go. Magic. There you go. I'll read that. But I read Truth Gangsters. There's a Ela Wananda, June Allen, Sisters Shanice, Issa Baku, Express Truth, The Drizzle Show. So any people who have some kind of pro-black to them, or they support, they seem to value black economics, black family, black health to an extent, then they might value these kind of ideas. If you got any, let us know. But the idea is to get everyone who has similar views or close views on the same page talking, just so we can actually have a united front, just so that the basics of black families, black economics, black health can be a talking point. And this Elaine DePayne, like we got Elaine DePayne for trying to start something, because she has a big following, and she's trying to promote something that's important, even though the way she's gone about it is, has triggered certain people, whatever. But and funny enough, some of the brothers on here, two, three of them maybe have issues with Elaine DePayne, and this is what I was jumping in the comments to try to squash that kind of stuff. But having more of a kind of network going on, we can actually have a better discussion and better ways to approach things, and blah blah blah, all that good stuff. So yeah, if you have any kind of things you're looking, let us know. Remember, I want everyone to see this as this really is a black space, and it's like, I'm merely someone here who has a certain skill set. I can facilitate things, but generally, we will do the constructive things the community needs. So it's up to you guys, isn't it? But one thing, as the brother was saying, the urgency. If there's any kind of podcast around, I'll add to the database and I'll approach them, and I'll try to get connect so we can actually have big talks and we can support each other and do bigger moves, I should say. But anyway, that's me. I'm done. Any last words you will say, brother Moose, before we hang up?
Off the top of my head, no. I think
you've expressed yourself really well. That's what that means. We want to give thanks to everyone out there. Remember, if you're a black person and you help black people, you are important. And if you don't, know that you are loved. And the important people are working for those who are loved. And we promote Black Betterment here because this is a way of how we can actually progress and heal from the atrocities of the past. But hopefully next week we'll do a part 4 if the sisters want to jump on. It'll be good that if the sisters don't jump on next week, then we're going to move on to maybe men or some other topic. But if that's not the case, we'll move on. But to everyone else, Black Betterment, to all Black Betterment, we're ending the show now. Now. Right, end stream. There you go.